The first sign you are about to be replaced isn't that your manager suddenly becomes rude. It isn't that HR schedules a meeting. And it isn't that someone starts packing your desk into a cardboard box. By the time those things happen, the decision has often already been made. The first sign is much quieter. It's when people stop needing you. Let me explain. Most people assume job security comes from working hard. They believe that if they complete their tasks, meet deadlines, and stay busy, they'll be safe. But companies don't keep people because they're busy. They keep people because they're valuable. And value is often measured by one simple question. If this person disappeared tomorrow, would we feel the impact? The moment the answer starts becoming, "Not really," you should pay attention. One of the earliest signs is when you're no longer included in important conversations. You still receive emails, you still attend meetings, you still have work. But somehow, the discussions that matter happen without you. Projects move forward before you even hear about them. Decisions get made in rooms you're no longer invited into. At first, it feels small. Then it becomes a pattern, and patterns matter. Another sign is when your responsibilities quietly start shrinking. Nobody announces it. Nobody sends an email saying, "We're reducing your importance." Instead, critical tasks slowly get reassigned. The high-visibility projects go to someone else. The strategic work lands on another person's desk. You're left handling routine tasks while others gain exposure and influence. Many people mistake this for a temporary change. Sometimes it is. But sometimes it's the organization testing whether things continue running smoothly without you. And if they do, that's a problem. Another warning sign is when your knowledge is suddenly being documented. Now, documentation itself is not bad. In fact, every professional should document their work. But if people who never cared about your processes suddenly want detailed explanations for everything you do, pay attention. If you're constantly being asked to create guides, walkthroughs, and handover notes, ask yourself why. Maybe the company is simply improving operations. Or maybe they're making sure someone else can step into your role. Either way, it's worth noticing. Another subtle sign is when feedback disappears. Most people think criticism is dangerous. In reality, complete silence can be much worse. Managers invest time in people they believe have a future. They coach them, correct them, develop them. If your manager stops giving feedback altogether, stops discussing growth opportunities, and stops talking about your future, it could mean they've already shifted their attention elsewhere. Indifference is often more dangerous than criticism. Then there's the appearance of help. Suddenly, another person joins your projects. Someone starts shadowing your work. You're asked to train a colleague. You're told they're just helping. Maybe they are. But sometimes, organizations introduce redundancy before they introduce change. The person learning your responsibilities may simply be gaining experience, or they may be preparing to take over. The point isn't to panic. The point is to stay aware. Because fear causes bad decisions. Awareness creates options. Here's something many people don't realize. The goal isn't to make yourself impossible to replace. Everyone is replaceable. Every employee, every manager, every executive. The real goal is to remain relevant, to keep learning, to solve problems, to build relationships, to become someone whose absence would create friction. Because companies don't pay for effort, they pay for value. And value comes from solving problems that matter. If you're noticing some of these signs, don't immediately assume the worst. Sometimes teams change, priorities shift, projects end. But don't ignore them either. Use them as information. Update your skills. Strengthen your network. Improve your visibility. Start documenting your achievements. And most importantly, make sure your career isn't dependent on a single company deciding your future. Because the strongest position isn't being irreplaceable. It's knowing that even if you're replaced, you'll be fine. At the end of the day, job security doesn't come from a title. It doesn't come from loyalty. And it doesn't come from how long you've been with a company. Real security comes from your ability to create value wherever you go. The people who survive layoffs, restructures, and uncertainty aren't always the smartest people in the room. They're the people who keep adapting. Because in today's world, the greatest career risk isn't being replaced. It's assuming that you never could be.